Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Let me check my volume. I gotta be honest, I am digging this mic. I've heard no complaints so far, so I'm just gonna take it as this mic is doing perfectly okay, and it's a perfect size for travel, and I don't even have to max out in volume. Perfect. Hope everybody's doing okay this morning. It is 4:38 in the a.m. I've been doing this all night, so this is probably going to be my last one, and I'm going to turn in. I'm going to get dinner and turn in. Let's hop across the pond. Fascinating things are taking place in the UK right now. Maybe not right now as we speak. I'm pretty sure something fascinating is taking place in the UK. I'm not going to downplay the UK, but that fascinating thing is unbeknownst to me right now. But I'm just saying, from the standpoint of UK politics, there are fascinating things afoot. For one, there's a zombie prime minister. She's growling her way throughout number 10. It's pretty amazing to watch. Body parts drop off as she lurches. And yet, she continues to stand. Boris Johnson falls off. Big display. The dream of Brexit is dying in an immaculate display of prose by the normally clumsy Boris Johnson. Brexiteer in chief, Boris Johnson, resigns. Big display. That sent shockwaves, because the only thing people could talk about at that point was, oh my God, Boris Johnson resigned, meaning all credibility from this idea of Brexit and what the Prime Minister was doing evaporated. Before that, a few hours before that, David Davis, Brexit Secretary, gone. Again, big splashy letter. You're putting us into the position of a vassal state, and I cannot in good conscience sign off on this. One of his other ministers left. Her cabinet is disintegrating before our eyes. In a month or so, it's just going to be Theresa May dragging her carcass throughout the UK, wandering about, mumbling stuff about Brexit that she can in no way induce. Here's the problem with Brexit. What they want, meaning what Rees-Mogg wants, what Boris Johnson wants, they don't care from the standpoint of the short-term pain that people are going to take. But you know who does care? Business, because that pain is going to be affected on business and it's going to be affected on labor, meaning you found an issue that unifies both. None of them want the pain that's going to be associated as you rip yourself out of the EU. Now, what you wanted was completely undeliverable, because what you wanted, nobody would vote for. Nobody would vote for. Your dream is something that you may want conceptually, but the public itself and Commons would not vote for. You don't have the votes. Even if you take the zombie prime minister's head, even if she kills over and there's some other hump or slump that takes her place, it's not going to matter. You're still not going to have the votes to get the Brexit that you want. Meaning, the prime minister has taken this job in order to deliver Brexit. The Brexit that she's going to offer, that's not even what they've agreed to. That is just what she's going to offer. It's going to essentially make Britain a vassal state. The argument that the Brexiteers are making is not necessarily wrong. The argument that they're making, however, is slightly besides the point. The Brexit that you want is not something that the public would sign up for. That's kind of the problem. The thing is, if you rip yourself out of the UK like that, or from the EU in that way, meaning the hard Brexit, what is going to happen with those businesses? What is going to happen with the carrier companies? What's going to happen with the parts? What's going to happen downstream for all those businesses as they're going to take a hit? The UK has already taken a hit from Brexit. Look, it's easy for somebody who's a plutocrat, who's somewhat distinct from the decisions that they're making, meaning there's a luft between what I'm doing and what I'm saying versus what's taking place in an actual physical matter reality. Fine. You can, do whatever you want at that point because the things don't actually adversely affect you in those ways. Boris Johnson talking about, be like Trump and just rip yourself away and kick over the deal. That is going to hurt a lot of people. Now, you may say that's only going to hurt those people in the short term. Fair enough. But let's at the very least agree, bare bones reality, that it will hurt. It will hurt. You have a zombie prime minister. Government is falling apart. Jeremey Corbyn is waiting in the wings, licking his chops. He has to be. David Cameron has already fell apart, nearly crying at the dispatch box. An amazing, unprecedented display of masculinity on his part. But Theresa May, given the undesirable job that at this point is undeliverable. They're not going to sign up for that Brexit. They're not going to sign up for that Brexit. And what makes it so bad, the Brexit that she's trying to deliver, that baby soft Brexit, is just their offer. That's the ask. That's not even what the EU would want. The EU may say, that's not enough. You can't have single market access unless you follow the rules. That is what it is. They could do that. They could say, we need a border between Northern Ireland. They don't have to help Britain on this, meaning the very ask that Theresa May is given, in one sense, they've already said no to, meaning it's dead on arrival. And the thing that's dead on arrival is still so offensive to the people that are in her cabinet is falling away. Now, I'm going to show you a few clips of what's taking place from the standpoint of the media, because the media is hitting a narrative. Her days are numbered. Her days are numbered. Should the Prime Minister leave? Should the Prime Minister leave? Does the Prime Minister have to go? I mean, all these people are leaving. It seems like the Prime Minister has to go. Is the Prime Minister going to go? Is she going to go? Is she going to go? Is she going to leave? You understand that the very ask of that question creates a narrative that propagates itself. Meaning, this thing of power is where power resides. To some degree, weakness is where weakness resides. If people think there's chum in the water on the Prime Minister, then there's chum in the water on the Prime Minister. Reality, to some degree, gets almost like a wag the dog. Look at this. So early in 2017, when she was running in a race, Theresa May was running under the banner of strong and stable. I love that. I love the irony. I love the irony. Let's take a look at this. I love this. This clip is awesome.
Northwestern welcome, and it's great to be here in Bolton, fresh from the House of Commons, fresh from winning a vote in the House of Commons, which has approved my decision to hold a general election on the 8th of June. It's the right decision. It's the right decision. It's in the national interest. And that's what...
By the way, that's not even true. She held that snap election because she wanted to break the back of labor. That's why. Be honest. That snap election was because she wanted to break the back of labor. She thought she could break Corbyn, and in breaking Corbyn, get a pimp hand, or essentially become Thanos with the glove in a political context in Britain, and run roughshod in regards to the Brexit negotiations. She was wrong. She was wrong. Just like she was wrong about that cabinet coming together. Oh, I'm sorry. That's wrong.
This election is about. It's about providing the strong and stable leadership this country needs to take Britain through Brexit and beyond. It's about strengthening our hand in the negotiations that lie ahead. And it's about sticking to our plan for a stronger Britain that will enable us to secure that more stable and secure future for this country and take the right long-term decisions for the future. It's about strong and stable leadership in the national interest. And you only get that strong and stable leadership by voting for the Conservatives, because that's what a Conservative government provides. And just look at what we've done.
Trips me out because every time she says strong and stable, they speed it up one notch. Now, That was her tune in 2017. Now, this strong and stable leadership that you've been getting in spades, listen how the media is regarding this. This is fascinating to me. It's like chum in the water.
Sky News live from Westminster, where there's no doubt that Theresa May's leadership of the Conservative Party and the country is in deep trouble. The Foreign Secretary, Boris Johnson, has stood down this afternoon, the biggest resignation yet of Mrs May's time as Prime Minister. He left the government less than 24 hours after the Brexit Secretary, David Davis, and one of his ministers quit, and there's no guarantee there won't be more resignations to come. Our political editor, Faisal Islam, reports.
Finally, at lunchtime, when Boris Johnson was due to be escorted to host an important Balkan peace conference, the outriders peeled away. The trappings of office gone, Foreign Secretary no more. Perhaps the clue was in the delivery van that turned up earlier outside his residence, but there'll be no more jogs from Carlton Gardens for Mr Johnson. The news dropped by Downing Street in a terse emailed acceptance thanking Boris for his work, apparently keen to appear in control of the timing of the resignation announcement, but it occurred just ahead of the PM appearing in the Commons to explain the Chequers proposal that brought about the loss of both Mr Johnson and her Brexit Secretary David Davis from Cabinet. The Chief Whip, Julian Smith, just behind Mrs May, seemed to be checking who exactly had turned up on the Cabinet front bench.
I want to recognise the work of the former Secretary of State for exiting the European Union, for the work...
Wait, did you hear what he said? He said the whip was checking the front bench to see who showed up. That's how bad things are. The whip doesn't even know who's going to show up to some of the meetings. That's amazing. That is mind-blowing. They have lost such control of the situation. Her government is so shambolic. Strong and stable, my ass. What, flimsy and shambolic. I'm going to go with shambolic. They're all over the place. They don't even know if the people are going to show up to the Prime Minister questions. That's amazing. This wasn't even a PMQ. This was a different speech. Those people should have been here for it. She was supposed to come together in this speech and show solidarity, that they were united, that everybody was good. They were pushing forward with this Brexit, and we're doing so with a Conservative Party that's united behind this. And we're united behind it because we have the Brexiteers, Boris, Davis, backing me on this. Not so much.
He did to establish a new department and steer through Parliament some of the most important legislation for generations. And similarly, to recognise the passion that the former Foreign Secretary demonstrated in promoting...
But the faces of Cabinet Ministers, including new Brexit Secretary Dominic Raab, said it all.
On Friday, Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister was so proud of her Brexit deal, she wrote to her MPs to declare collective Cabinet responsibility is now fully restored.
The Brexit debate from Chequers far from won. In fact, now going into a painful period of extra time.
Well, the Environment Secretary added his own words and said, one of the things about this compromise is that it unites the Cabinet. The Chequers compromise took 2 years to reach and just 2 days to unravel.
But most concerning, at this moment of weakness for the Prime Minister, Tory Brexiters holding back the support and piling on the pressure for her to abandon the Chequers deal.
Within 48 hours of the Prime Minister's statement on Friday, I received over 300 emails, disheartened, dismayed and telling me that democracy is dead.
Will my right honourable friend explain what obstacles there will be to trade and how this will work?
This week, the activists were so disappointed about what had happened at Chequers. They were betrayed.
At which point fellow Conservative MPs shouted, "You haven't even read it, Peter." Tory MPs squabbling on the green benches and on social media.
Look at this! They're falling apart! They're falling apart! They're in Parliament screaming, "You haven't even read it, Peter! You haven't even read it! Bastard!" Support the Prime Minister. And he's like, My activists have been so angry. Democracy have died. They feel betrayed by you. Oh God, this is awesome politics. This is brutal politics. Fucking awesome. Like, yes, I get excited by this stuff because I think this is so brutal. Understand, the Prime Minister is now in a situation where her government is literally disintegrating before her eyes. She has been bringing in replacements for people who weren't already all that wrapped too tight, with replacements of people who already aren't wrapped too tight. And there have been more people that have dropped off even today, or I should say yesterday. The Tories, left conservatives, mind you, remember, left right-wingers fall in line. The fuck is this? They're all over the place. Sounds like we need another general election. Sounds we need to work this out with a general election. I'm just saying. I know I don't live there. I don't live there. But this seems like utter chaos. The government seems like it's falling apart. The conservative ruling party seems to be eating each other. Just saying. Let's keep going, because I want them to get to the point of where they're asking continuously. I'm putting this video at the bottom. It's like an hour long. It's long. But they are continuously, consistently, is the Prime Minister going to step down? Is the Prime Minister going to step down? Certainly the Prime Minister has to step down. I really think the Prime Minister has to step down. Is the Prime Minister going to fight for a job? It is monotonous and perpetual. And it's throughout the whole thing. It's what they've just started asking. It's a narrative that they've concocted that is like self-propelling.
It was David Davis's resignation, a scathing letter that sparked the latest stage of this crisis. He learnt of the Foreign Secretary's departure during a live radio interview.
Your reaction to that? Regret, really. You know, I had to resign because this was central. I mean, this was central to my job.
Two colleagues who were told to back the PM's Chequers plan and 2 days on said no, leaving the PM fighting to stay in office. Faisal Islam, Sky News.
Faisal Islam is with me now. First of all, Boris Johnson, I suspect he's the big personality in all this. He's gone, but a little bit of being pushed out of the nest.
Yes, it does appear that he pre-announced to the number 2, and he's gone. And it was a big risk for the Prime Minister to put him in that position, and not just him, two big beasts from her cabinet resigning over the issue that's the most important.
All right, so
in her government.
Bearing in mind Brexiteers at the top have obviously gone in two directions, some supporting the Prime Minister, two resigning. How much trouble is Mrs May in?
Well, you just take that fact. The votes leave cabinet ministers are split. And you sort of think, wow. I mean, the country's split, they say, the parties are split. But when you have the actual people that campaigned, that resigned from cabinet in order to campaign for the referendum, themselves split on a route map for Brexit, you wonder where you build the consensus from. And I think the one really striking thing, this in the febrile atmosphere that we've experienced round here this afternoon, is how many Tory MPs are willing to sit on their hands and not give the Prime Minister full support. And it was very telling in the Commons too. You might have expected a bit of an operation where some of the sceptics just got behind their Prime Minister in a time of weakness, but no. They were pressurising her in order to get her to dump the Chequers plan.
Lefties, take notice. The Brexiteers are in a minority here. They don't have the votes to do the Brexit that they want. They want a hard Brexit. They want to split away because ultimately they want to be able to cut down the regulations. They want to have a worse country. They want to turn Britain into America to some degree. So they want to break away. The EU rules make that difficult to do. So if they could break away, they can cut down the rules and regulations of Britain. They could have those chlorinated chickens and all that other stuff. From the standpoint of the regulation that Theresa May is doing, this deal, she's keeping a regulatory alignment with the EU without necessarily being able to influence the rules of the EU. Now, when they were in the European Union, they were able to influence those rules. The catch is, under Theresa May's deal, which, again, the EU is probably going to reject, because they've already told her that some of the stuff is magical thinking. They would, if they want to be a part of the single market, they're going to have to follow the rules of the EU, which means they're going to have to follow the rules of the EU. That puts them under the European Court in some of these cases. I mean, this gets to be amazing in regards to the politics. Now, I have to say, this sounds bad, or this sounds weird. My heart goes out to Theresa May on this. I'm a lefty, man. I'm somewhat empathetic on some of this stuff. This is brutal politics. And maybe I'm being sexist and being more favorable to her because she's a female. And look, I was probably sexist towards Hillary Clinton in the opposite way on election night when Hillary Clinton didn't show up. I gave her a pass on that, as opposed to, you know, if it was Trump, heads would have exploded. So yeah, on some of the stuff, I'm a guy. And it's not that I look at the weaker sex or anything else. I do look at the person. And yeah, I think I do give probably a little bit of deference to women that I think I give to men on this stuff. This has to hurt. This has to utterly hurt. Like, oh, this is brutal politics. Like, because understand what's taking place here. They are calling for Theresa May's head. The media and everybody is asking, is she going to keep her job? You have people that are putting in the thing to try to get a no confidence vote. You've had ministers all the way. People leaving her cabinet left and right. Not to mention, Johnson resigned on the day that she was giving that speech. Meaning she got up there and had to give a speech talking about togetherness when her cabinet had literally just disintegrated before her eyes. It's brutal. That's brutal politics. And then Jeremey Corbyn is just hitting her like, oh, your government is in shambles. Your government need to get their act together. What's wrong with your government? Oh, this is brutal politics. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let's go to the next one. Here's one more. And this is going to be the last one on the show for this one. But I just want to get this idea of the atmosphere that's being created around what's taking place in Britain. I gave you my take. I'm giving you the take from the standpoint of if you're looking from the media. Thing is, I don't know who else would take Theresa May's job at this point. I have no idea. The Brexit that they're trying to give is a dumpster fire. And it's a dumpster fire that probably won't even be accepted by the EU, meaning the EU is probably going to want more. So people are going to ask the question, what's the point? Why are we doing Brexit at all? I'm just saying, this is going to get weird. You can't do a Brexit in this way. That's all I'm saying. A Brexit in this way makes it look like, why are we leaving? We're worse off than what we were before. If you're not going to break, what's the point? So, the Brexiteers are not going to be happy with this. They're not. And the way, and I think Boris Johnson even said it, the EU is probably even going to want more. If this is your starting point, the EU is probably going to even want more than that. So what do? I have no idea what they do. And I think this is kind of the problem now. What do you do? If you bring back some mutilated platypus of a plan that is even worse than what people are calling a betrayal, an utter betrayal. If you bring back a plan that's worse than that, Parliament can vote that down. Parliament can say no to that particular plan. And then what? Then what? I'm telling you, man, what's taking place in Britain is fascinating politics. And this government could implode over what is taking place in Britain. Keep an eye on this. Let's keep going.
Really clear where the Brexit resignation story would go next. Michael Gove seemed to confirm he's definitely staying put.
So are you fully behind Theresa May's Brexit plan?
100%.
Have you considered resigning yourself over this?
Absolutely not.
And what do you think of Boris Johnson's decision and David Davis' decision to resign?
Well, I admire Boris and David very much. I'm sorry that they've left the government, but I hope you have a lovely day.
And is
Oh, just one quick injection. I respect the hell out of what Boris Johnson did. Don't like him. Don't like him at all. He's a clownish type of fella. He's a right-winger's right-winger. If he had the opportunity to do American-style politics, he would probably do American-style politics. But If he didn't believe in that plan, he shouldn't have supported that plan. And it would have been horrendous if Boris Johnson would have had to stand behind the Prime Minister when he had just stood there and said this was like polishing a turd. If everybody knows that you said that, how on earth are you going to stand there and defend that? That's kind of difficult to defend the moment that comes out of your mouth. I'm just saying. I wish lefties would take a little bit of lesson from the standpoint of a little bit of spine and a little bit of gumption, and not necessarily eat crow on everything and fall in line just for each and everything. Whatever you want to think of the Brexiteers, they're doing what they think their donor says right. I know their thing is different. I'm just saying let's say their class. They're doing what members of their class think is right. It's right for them.
Another Brexiteer, Esther McVeigh, stays loyal too.
Do you have full confidence in Theresa May?
Of course I do.
As Theresa May's new cabinet met for the first time, the PM hoped to restore order to the Brexit process and to party ranks. Then backbencher Andrew Bridgen popped up.
I'm just going to see Mr. Brady. I've got a meeting with him.
He'd gone,
Mr. Brady. The American audience is not going to know who that is. Mr. Brady has to do with essentially a no confidence vote. We're trying to get enough signatures to get a no confidence vote. I think the number is 48 that they need to get. I could be wrong, but I think the number is 48. But whatever. They need to get a certain criteria for which they can get a vote of no confidence, in which case the Prime Minister would have to battle it out to keep her Prime Ministership. Fascinating politics. She could lose her seat over this.
Soon learn with a letter calling for a confidence vote in the Prime Minister. It would take 48 such letters for the vote to be triggered. But the tactic isn't being adopted by most hardline Brexiteers, it seems. At least, not for now.
The one thing we don't need now is any kind of leadership battle. Not only would that undermine the negotiations going on, we wouldn't have to be doing negotiations, presuming the negotiation would stall. But of course, secondly, we don't know who would be the outcome, who would win. Maybe it would be some Remainer would win that battle. So no, we don't want leadership battle for now. We want.
So you're threatening possibly things.
I think not threatening. I couldn't know predicting. It'd be more accurate. I think that what we are requiring is an absolutely straightforward, clean Brexit, as the Prime Minister has promised. If in time she chooses not to be able to deliver that clean Brexit that she herself has time and again promised, then of course I imagine she'd wish to consider her own position.
Did you hear that? He's threatening the Prime Minister. He's outright threatening the Prime Minister. He's even saying, look, I'm not saying I'm threatening the Prime Minister. I'm just saying that the Prime Minister, if she can't give that clean Brexit that she said she was going to get, then she needs to reconsider her position as Prime Minister. Fucking A, man. God damn it, I love this. This is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome. That is so cool. God, lefties need to be more like that. I mean, listen to what he's saying. He's like, yeah, we don't want a Prime Minister battle. Well, that's not what we want right now. I mean, we're trying to deliver Brexit. But, if the Prime Minister doesn't do that, then we are willing to do that. That is perfectly acceptable because what we want to do is Brexit. That is amazing. The thing is, they don't have the votes. So he can threaten all he wants. They don't have the votes in order to get a clean Brexit. Now, whether they have enough votes to take her head off, that's a different question. I still say, Theresa May, zombie. Theresa May, zombie. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love this. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, let's see who's here. Not a zombie. She's vampiric. I'm saying zombie because I'm calling her the Walking Dead from standpoint of a political context. She's barely dragging her leg from point A to point B. So that Brexit was a great idea. You know, the wild part is I've been agnostic towards Brexit, Joe Theresa. I've been agnostic towards it. I've looked at it as could be good, could be bad. I don't know. But there would be pain. Let's look. This painless Brexit, I don't know where people got this from. They have been entrenched into the EU for like 40 years, to some degree. All of these structures had got acclimated to being a part of the EU, and now you're trying to rip that out. Well, that's a problem. That's a consequence. That's going to be a consequence. The problem is, nobody knew what Brexit meant. They understood from this idea of, okay, leaving the EU. Yeah, but what does that mean to leave the EU? You're never going to leave Europe. You're right there in Europe. You're never going to leave Europe. So what does it mean? What does it mean? Nobody knew. And so now they get to the point and they say, all right, here's your baby. And it's like, oh, God, what the fuck is that thing? This is the Brexit that you ordered. Isn't it lovely? Oh, God, take it away. Take it away. Take it away. So, yeah. Like all real men, I don't sleep. Danibal's one. Yeah, I have a hard time sleeping too. Sybil Cochran, what is a clean Brexit? A clean Brexit is essentially the Brexiteers' dream of just saying, fuck it, we're done. We'll figure out our stuff as we go. They want a clean break. They don't want none of this entanglement with the laws of the EU and all this other stuff. They don't want regulatory alignment. They don't want access to the single market. Or at the very least, they want it, but they want it on their own terms, which is mean they don't want it. Yeah, they want a clean break. They want a clean break. That's insane, man. That's insane. All right. Going to sleep. It's not as late in California, but it's still late night. Yeah, it is late night here too. Or early in the morning anyway. It's 5 in the morning. I'm going to end this here. I am fascinated by what is taking place in Britain, because what is taking place in Britain may end a prime ministership. Another one, by the way. There was one before this. Over this issue of Brexit. So, and for what I understand, there have been other prime ministerships that have been lost over this idea of Europe. Over, what is it, John Major? Something to that effect with Europe. But I don't know all the history of it. But that being said, I think this is fascinating. I would say keep an eye on Britain. I am going to be doing stories on the UK. Well, I'm going to continue to do stories on the UK. Let me say it that way. Because what's taking place over there is amazing. Jeremey Corbyn. Coming home. Coming home. Yeah, Mark Blake is right. Yeah. Mark Blight is right. Donald Trump would eat it up. Well, that's what Boris Johnson said. Boris Johnson said we need somebody more like Donald Trump. It's like, think about that. One of your foreign secretary is caught saying, I wish our prime minister was more like somebody else. Wow. It's amazing. All right, guys, I'm going to end this here. Thank you guys for showing up. It's like 5 in the morning, so I appreciate you guys coming around this early. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the picture. Thanks, everybody. Get ready for Corbyn. It's coming home.